SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I got a review code for this for the PS4. The game originally released on the PS2, Xbox, GameCube in 2003, and this is a full remaster of the game. Visually, they did a lot of work to make this look like it belongs on modern consoles. Doesn't look like a game that's 17 years old. Like, it's, SpongeBob, the cartoon characters in 3D. Visually, it looks modern, but gameplay-wise, it does feel aged. You know how 3D platformers played 20 years ago. So, it's a straight up 3D platformer. The main objective is just like collecting. There's like golden spatulas to collect, there's shiny items to collect, and you just get a playground basically of like iconic places from the TV show, and you collect the items. You'll meet characters from the show, and they will give you like a secondary set of items for you to collect, and you just solve the environmental puzzles and do the 3D platforming to do that. You do get to play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. Each of them have their own unique abilities, and their abilities are actually really fun, and they do play completely different. And certain puzzles will require certain characters, and there's a ton of different puzzles and different things for them to all collect that require you to switch between the characters. It does have an old holdover from games 20 years ago where you can't change between characters on the fly. You need to go to designated bus stops to swap out the character, but you can't pick which character you want. No, it's true though. Yeah. It was definitely one of those frustrations, and I'm just like, man, I wish they upgraded this game to be more modern. It's almost too faithful to a fault, because the visuals are updated, it sounds good, but it still has older 3D platform issues.
They didn't make the gameplay any better.
Exactly, yeah. So like the gameplay was repetitive back then, so it's going to be repetitive now, so I can't really fault them for the repetitiveness because they can't change too much. But some of the platforming is just a little too finicky. There's some weird camera stuff. There's glitches that like I've run into. I oftentimes would get frustrated with, like the platforming. The jumps didn't go exactly like I expected because the jumps didn't work right, or the environment.
You've gotten used to like a platformer behaving a certain way over the last 20 years, and it doesn't behave that way in this game.
Basically, yeah. And I would run into those instances where I would get kind of frustrated at this little kid game because it's a SpongeBob game, and it's really hard in 2020 to fully accept this. We've seen remasters where the development team sees the flaws, the original design, and fix certain issues, and they didn't go that extra mile with this. They stayed super faithful to it. It's just that doesn't hold up. It's almost like the nostalgia wears out after the first hour or two. You see the cutscenes, you run around SpongeBob's house, and you're just like, oh my god, like, this is the game from my childhood, and you're kind of excited by that. But then after like an hour, you just are...
Old game is old.
Yes, yeah, Dave's motto, old game is old. So after just a couple hours that I just found myself just like kind of bored and just going through it just because like I'm reviewing it, and the gameplay just doesn't have like depth that you would want from a modern game, and then just all the old stuff that was frustrating back then is just amplified in current times.
I wish that there was almost like a different word that they use instead of like remaster or remake, because I think that that's giving people a different impression now versus like, okay, we want to sell more copies of this game and we're going to kind of just make it a little better. Yeah. Upgrade, like SpongeBob upgrade.
Like, I applaud them, THQ Nordic, picking SpongeBob Bikini Bottom. That is such a random game to decide to like re-release in 2020.
I think the name carries a lot of weight where mom or grandma is going to buy this off a shelf.
Yeah, but you don't really see like licensed games get remastered because it's usually kind of a headache. So the fact that they went back and they got it is really cool. Though this is another thing. So like you'll see with a lot of people that are playing this game, the original game didn't have the voice for Mr. Krabs. They got a sound-alike who sounds nothing like Mr. Krabs. The Rehydrated edition, the new game, could have fixed that. They could have put the effort in to maybe talk to the actor who still voices Mr. Krabs, because SpongeBob is still going on. They could have redid those lines, but they didn't do that. They didn't take that extra step. So, you know, again, it's too faithful to a fault.
Yeah, but I also think this is what we talked about with THQ before, where you're wondering, like, okay, they're acquiring all these IPs, and like, what are they doing with them? And I don't even know, as an example, but if this cost, let's say, 100,000, you know, 500,000 to make the game, and you put it on the shelves, and you make $1 million, like, they're cool with it. You know, like, from a dollars and cents standpoint, like this, you know, like, SpongeBob still carries a name. Kid's gonna be in the store. Mom, I want the SpongeBob game. Like,
yeah, I'm realistic too. I know if they would have put the real Mr. Krabs voice in it, that probably wouldn't have sold a significant amount of copies that would have justified the price tag to get the actor and then to implement those lines in the game. But we've seen so many remasters that have improved over the original significantly that it's just kind of, it's boring. I enjoyed the game at the beginning and it served its nostalgia purposes. Unless you have a real love for this game,
or you never played it before.
Even if you never played it before, I don't think you're going to have a great experience. Just because you're going to be like, oh, this old game is old. You need to have a real love for this specific game to like really be interested in playing it, because it's still a simple platformer from 2003. It just looks better.
You than me, buddy.
Yeah. So that's why like my review score for this is 2.5 out of 5. It's not terrible, not great. It's just like right down the middle of the type of game it is. Like, it achieves its purpose. That purpose is still flawed. At the core, it's still a basic platformer that just hasn't been elevated despite being rehydrated.
Licensed games are hard.